Hello, my name is Viktor Fadeev. I'm the product manager of the great product named Flowset. And today we are speaking about the new functionality of the Flowset named Studio, Flowset Studio. What do I mean saying new? I mean that recently, if you are tracking our YouTube channel, you could detect that we made a special video for the Flowset control. This is another tool in Flowset family. And today, yeah, we are coming to the next great tool named Studio, which is basically allows developers, BPM developers to model the business processes, code them, and make them running, and see how it basically works. For those of you who just connected to our webinar series, I want to give a short overview about what basically Flowset is doing. What does it stand for? It stands for automating the whole process development lifecycle. We assume that the process development lifecycle consists of 6 stages, and all of them are on the on the slide of the presentation right now. Starting from the process modeling through development and deployment, we come to monitoring and fixing issues and bottlenecks. For sure, all steps are working and are needed to operate interconnected to avoid frictions between different roles and tools during this journey. And due to the fact that before Flowset, there were no such tools on the market which can connect all the steps of the software development lifecycle, we are introducing the new approach in this area, and this is exactly what Flowset is. By the way, we recommend executing the business processes using the open source Camunda 7 compatible engine Operaton. But for the sake of those who are still using Camunda, we will demonstrate everything using Camunda 7 today. Okay, and then the next question is what basically Flowset consists of. Yeah, so it consists of 3 major parts right now. They are named the Studio, the Control, and the Task List. They are work in interconnection with the Operaton open source engine and with Camunda 7 engine if you use it right now, or any other fork. Each component is free, so that means that you can use it without any payments right now. And what's more important is that they are separated from each other. So that means that there are 3 of them, and each of them are separate tools you can integrate into your development experience without the need to carry out others. But for sure, they make the best impact on productivity when they are used in, let's say, an integrated mode, so all together. I've already mentioned that last time we made a webinar for the control, for the Flowset control tool, and we'll go through it today also. But today, our hero is the Studio. Studio is the plugin for professional IDE, IntelliJ IDEA. Yeah, we'll see today how it actually works. What is the innovation behind the Flowset Studio? Why do we recommend you start using this tool? The innovation is the following. So first of all, we bring the experience of Camunda Modeler, which you may know as a separate tool, desktop tool, inside the IntelliJ IDEA. So that means that basically you do not need to switch between the screens when you are working with business process automation. You can do everything you want inside the IntelliJ IDEA. So that means that you can write the Java delegates, what we will do today for sure, and also observe the business process model on your screen. The next great thing is that you get a quick navigation across the BPM project. We know that business process artifacts like business processes and process forms can be scattered across your project, and it can be hard to find them. So we bring a special navigator which helps you to navigate across your assets and quickly access them. And what's mostly, there is a special actions which allow to jump between associated artifacts. I will show you today how this is done. This can be done. The next 3 things are more related to visual representation of those artifacts. First of all, this is the visual representation of connection configuration to the BPM engine. This is the visual designer for the decision-making tables, and visual designer with drag and drop operations for the process forms. I will also go through it today, and I hope you will love it. So what is the demo case today, which we'll use to demonstrate the power of the Flowset Studio? We will manipulate today with a small app which automates the loan processing. This app is a typical Spring Boot app. It is a very tiny thing with a small domain model. I will show it, and has the integrated Camunda 7 or embedded version of Camunda 7 BPM engine, which is connected as a dependency to this project. All this application runs on top of H2 database. And today we'll also use some additional parts of the Flowset, named Flowset Control, to monitor what's going on inside a Spring Boot app. And we also use the Flowset Task List. This is the open source tool which allows to render the process forms and let your users interact with these process forms dynamically without the need to rewrite the code. Okay, and what we'll do today, we will modify the loan processing business process by connecting it to the OpenAI endpoint, asking the LLM to additionally get a recommendation for the loan application, which was the input for the business process. Yeah, this is the demo case for today. Yeah, and let's go to the next step, to the Flowset Studio. Actually, I'm demonstrating right now the IntelliJ IDEA, so you can see it if I move it on top. Yeah, this is the IntelliJ IDEA. I'm working today with IntelliJ IDEA 2025 3.4. You can use the updated one. And inside this Flowset, inside the IntelliJ IDEA, I've got this Flowset plugin installed. How you can find this plugin? You can find it easily by accessing the plugins section inside the IntelliJ IDEA settings. So you just write down here Flowset, and you will find it in JetBrains Marketplace. Or you can access the JetBrains Marketplace on the website and check the plugin named Flowset and find additional details about this great tool. Okay, so after you integrate or install this plugin inside your IntelliJ IDEA, you get the experience of this wonderful tool, which is shown here in the left as a separate panel. You can move this panel using the built-in IntelliJ IDEA tools to left top or bottom or left bottom, as I use it right now. And what do we see along with the project structure we've got used to? First of all, we see the Flowset Explorer, which demonstrates the hierarchy of all the assets associated with the business process automation. What do I mean? I see that the project, which I opened basically, was scanned, and all the processes, decision-making tables, forms, and related implementation delegates were extracted and connected to the nodes. You can see processes, and you can see all the processes. So for sure, they are stored in your project somewhere, most probably like in my project, in the process folder. So then the DMN tables, the forms, and the delegates. So everything is in the right boxes, okay? We also can see the process engine configuration here shown explicitly. And if we double click here, we'll see the window, which or a special tool, which helps us to configure the engine. So it shows the current version of the engine. It shows the type of the engine, connected, embedded, or external. Today we'll play with the embedded one, and the credentials to access this engine. By the way, below you can see the list of dependencies added to your Gradle file, which shows explicitly what dependencies will come inside your project. Okay. Yeah, let's go further. I also have running on my local desktop those tools I mentioned today. They are Flowset Control and the Flowset Task List. They are running on several ports. 8081 for the Flowset control, and the 8090 for the Flowset task list. By the way, you can find those great tools using Docker Hub. So you can just search the Flowset using the Docker desktop or another tool which you use to manage the local Docker images and run them. So both of them, Flowset control and Flowset task list, are available for free in Docker Hub. They are running right now. That means that I can access them using the browser. Using the browser window, I can access the Flowset control. And this is the welcome screen for the Flowset control, which allows to monitor the engines. And this is actually the task list. But the task list will not work right now because the application to which it should connect is not operating right now. It is on hold. Yeah, so it's not running. Let's go deeper in details inside the domain model, which we will work with today. First of all, I will demonstrate the business process itself, which we will modify today. Here it goes. I will zoom in it slider. Okay, that's it. This is quite a simple business process demonstrating the processing of the loan application towards several steps. First of all, this is the start event, which is reference to the form. Yeah, so you can see the form reference. So the user needs to put in some data here. Then we make a service task, which loads the applicant's data. So loads the data about the person who applied for the loan. Then we calculate the store, implement some business logic in the form of decision-making table. Then we implement user tasks. User task, which is named review application. It is also reference to a form which the user will work with. And then depending on the resolution, approval or rejection, we send a simple notification, approval and or rejection. Okay, so this is a quite straightforward thing. The user applies the data about himself. Then we load additional data about the user or about the applicant. Then we calculate the store, process it through the decision-making table, and then we show the task to the operator. Today we have no dedicated operator user. We will use the admin user as a single one as an operator. So he will decide whether to approve it or not, and then it will go to approval or rejection. What do we see right here? First of all, you can see the, let's say, beloved modeler BPMN IO integrated right here into IntelliJ IDEA. What's more, when I click between the different activities, you can see that the panel of the setting, the panel for the properties for which activity it is different, yeah, and you can access relevant parameters right here in the IntelliJ IDEA style. Okay, then you can zoom in, zoom out. For sure, you can drag and drop those tools. So you can see here the panel, which allows you to bring new blocks right here. And what's more, behind the scene, there is an XML file, which is rendered as the BPMN file, as the BPMN Canva right here in the IntelliJ IDEA. So it looks great, yeah. So it looks great because you don't need to go somewhere else. You can work right here in the IntelliJ IDEA Canva. Okay, before we will go into details, I want to highlight what is the domain model. The domain model is quite simple, so we didn't want to make something very complex. We have the applicant record with some typical attributes like ID, first name, last name, age, income, and so on. Yeah, okay, and we also prepared a repository to manipulate with these records, where there is only one method, find by ID, which receives the ID of the applicant. And there is a constructor which statically makes a set of the applicant records with some sudden random data. Okay, so there are random names, random data about income, and so on. So this is what we will work with today. And what's happening inside? Let's go. First of all, I've demonstrated that on the beginning there is a start form, and I want to observe what basically this start form does and how does it look like. And easily I can jump in and see that there is a form designer where I can see this exact form in the pre-render mode. But behind the scene, under the hood, there is still a JSON file which represents the structure of this form. Inside the form, I can also see the palette, which allows me to manipulate with the data and with the properties connected with the controls on the Canva of this form. Here you can see that, for example, this is the combo box, and there is a static list of options. It was, let's say, hard inputted. Here you can see the names of the applicants. I have a static list here, and it is connected to the value, which are occasionally the IDs of those applicants, which I've demonstrated here as IDs. Okay, so the user chooses the applicant, and then it goes downstream this BPMN model. The first service task is load applicant data. So if I want to check what it does exactly, I can dive in the Java delegate and see what's going on here. There is nothing serious. It's the overriding execution method, which gets the execution context. And what it actually do, it retrieves the applicant ID from the process context, and then it asks the repository to find the full data about this applicant ID. And it places this data inside the process execution as process variables. So it puts the applicant first name, last name, income, and so on. And there is some random data also which enriches the context of the business process. So this is what initializes the process variables to play with them further along this business process. So the next step is this score calculation. There is quite a simple Java delegate which makes the following. It extracts the data from the process context. Such data as income, loan amount, age, and calculates the total score based on some grades. Yeah, here you can see that how the score is calculated, and if the score goes below 0, it is normalized by 0. If it goes above 100, it is set as 100, and then once again it is set as the score to be processed further downstream the business process. By the way, I didn't highlight you one great thing. If you are surfing through the Java delegates, you can easily jump inside the business process by clicking, and you will be returned to the user task or to the service task, in this case, with which you are playing right now. On the next step, we have a DMN table. So this is the evaluate rule decision table. And once again, there is no reason to go somewhere else to look what's going inside. You can just jump into the reference of this DMN table. It will be presented right here in IntelliJ IDEA. Double click, and we see this quite simple DMN table. So we have the condition for equal or above 70 or less than 70, and the outcomes, approve or reject. This is the recommendation, which actually goes inside the output result variable named rule decision, which is passed to the review application. By the way, you can see all the things which I'm demonstrating right now here in the Flowset Explorer hierarchy. So you can also go to the loan decision right here and open the same decision-making table and even make it greater, okay? You can put here more conditions, make it more sophisticated, or process operating with the business process as we go, okay? And then the review application is the user task once again, and if we'll dive in, so we can also access this user task. You can see that it allows you to access the palette and put some additional things on the form. But we will do it a little bit later. Hold on before we start modifications of this business process model. Okay, we passed a bit through the business process model to demonstrate what basically it is doing. And let's try to launch this application and check how this basically works right now in runtime without adding any additional UI. Let's run this Spring Boot application, wait until it will start. So we see all the data, all the logs about the start of this application in the terminal. Okay, this will take some time. By the way, I want to tell you that it's very useful to connect also some LLM tool. In my case, this is an agent, open code, to your development setup, because this will allow you to reduce the amount of boilerplate code and sometimes give you explanation about what's happening. Yeah. So maybe we'll play with this tool today during the development which we are going to perform. Maybe not because I have everything prepared, but just keep in mind that it's very straightforward to access the coding agent right here in the terminal and play with all the tools in combination. Yeah, so it's very comfortable. So it says that it's running. Let's go and check what's going on. First of all, let's go to the control plane. We have one user right now, built-in user admin. We access the Flowset control. I will not pay too much attention to this tool because we have a webinar before that. You can watch it. Flowset control says that there are no one BPM engine configured and recommends me to add the engine. So I will add the engine Flowset demo up right now. It asks me about what type of the engine is it. So it's Camunda Operaton, in my case Camunda 7 today. Then it asks me to put the data about the URL. In my case, the BPM engine is using the Docker image. Then I will put the authentication enabled, basic authorization, and set up the admin user as a default. I will test connection, and if everything works nice, then we'll show that it works. Okay, it says that it works. When the engine was connected already, I will see the updated dashboard with all the data grabbed or retrieved from the BPM engine side. Yeah, you can see some processes. This is what I've practiced basically before preparation to our today's webinar. And if I go to the processes here, I can see the loan scoring. Actual version is 25 because of many experiments done. And I can access the Flowset, in the Flowset control, the model of this business process and actually see the same what I've observed in the IntelliJ IDEA. So it is ready to work. So it was deployed. Yeah, so I can see that it is here already. If it was deployed, then I can go to the task list and access the task list using the same user. And it will give me the access to the dashboard. Once again, I go to the processes and I see the process available for lunch, loan scoring and simple process. This is also a process which is stored just for demonstration purposes right here. You can see the simple process. It consists of only one activity. So let's run this task. I will run the process, get the applicant ID. I need to choose the applicant data with whom I want to go further. I will take Emma Thompson and start the business process. Let's check whether the business process was started. Let's go to the Flowset control, check the process instance is running. And I see that just a few seconds ago, the loan score and business process was launched. Let's go inside and see what's going on. Okay, and will show me the actual status of the business process. It said that all these activities were passed, and now the token stands on the review application, and I can observe the data about our random data of the applicant Emma Thompson person. Yeah, I can also see what happened inside the DMN. So the recommendation was to approve. Okay, let's go to the task list and check whether do I have a task for that. Yeah, so I have an actual task here, the review application task. I go inside, I see that the rule decision was approved. I see the calculation of the credit score and some random data from this fake Emma Thompson. Yeah, here you can see that the user can make the decision, approve or reject, and submit or complete this task. I will approve this one just to demonstrate that it's done. We can go once again to the process instances and see that it disappeared because it was actually completed within the success path. And I can check the notification in the terminal. Yeah, so there was a message here that the application approved for process with the process ID. So this was everything I wanted to demonstrate about how it works actually right now. Let's go to some modifications, because the target for the goal for our today's webinar is also to demonstrate how you can use that great tool for making manipulations. Let's make the modifications by implementing one more step here along the formal evaluate rule decision user task. Service, not service task, but the decision-making table, yeah, or BRD, business rule implementation. What I want to do, I want to put here an additional task, which will call AI and pass all the data about the applicant and get some independent recommendation for the user who will decide to submit this application or reject. Okay. Let's do it right here. First of all, I will make some space here to put additional gateways. Okay. Then I will put additional gateways right here. Yeah, this is one thing, and here is another. I will transform these gateways from exclusive to parallel gateways, because actions I want to handle, they will run in parallel. Yeah, I can see that I'm using some color palette here for just to be shiny. Okay, I want to keep the same style. Okay, I can see that I can also give IDs here for the new components. Let's say this will be a parallel split. Yeah, that's it. And this will be, let's say, let it name check join. For the sake, if I want to get to play with them somehow further within the XML diagram, or detect what basically happened when I will analyze the historical data or get the process mining. Okay, and then we make one more task here. Oh, sorry, that's bad. Okay, I will add one service task here. Yeah, and connect it with this. Now I want to assign this as a service task and name it. I put here the name as first of all, the ID as AI fraud check. Yeah, so this will be the name. And let's set up the title. So it will be AI fraud check, actually. Okay. So we've got it. Let's color it the same style as other activities right here. So that's done. And now let's add some business logic inside. How to do that? You can see that in the implementation section, you can choose the task type implementation. And in our case, we'll play only with Java classes. You can instantiate the delegate directly from here. So just press plus and name the delegate for creating the stub for this delegate method. AI fraud check delegate. Okay, it's done. Suggest me to add to the Git repository, and yeah, so it was done. So here is the place. There is the execution method which was overridden, where you need to place your code, which will be executed when it runs to this step. Yeah, and before that, I've generated the code which I need using the open code agent, and I will just copy paste it today, not to lose time. So here is the code generated by AI. Yeah. So and sorry, I will just put it right here. Here is the code, and check whether all the all the dependencies and imports are working, and whether do I have errors or I need to fix them. So I see that the variable constants, which I use to map the process variables into the domain model, is red. So I need to add it additionally to the variable constants package. Okay, so I will add here. A risk level, because this will be a new parameter. And I will put the name here, AI risk level. And I will now explain what this code basically doing. Okay. So I will close the scratch. I don't need it anymore. Open the Flowset panel, and go through the code which I pasted here. Okay. So this is the service named AI fraud check delegate, which makes the following. So let's go to the execution method. So execute. What it does, so it gets the context from the business process and asks for recommendation, which was implemented by request OpenAI recommendation here in the same file. And in this method, I'm doing the following. I'm generating the prompt by setting up the system prompt, putting a role for the OpenAI LLM calling, and then I also pass the user prompt, which I build dynamically using the method build prompt. It is quite straightforward. You can see that this is the instruction to analyze the loan application for potential fraud and unusual risk patterns. And I pass all the parameters inside this method directly from the process context. So I pass the first name, the last name, the applicant ID, income data, and so on. Let's go back to the execution. When I then inside the request OpenAI generation, I pass it to the endpoint for the ChatGPT, and I do this in a cycle with max retries, also setting up here them maximum of 3. Okay. Then here I just ask for response using the REST client. This is Spring Boot implementation for calling REST right now, and passing the header, the content type, and the body with the prompt, with the system prompt and the user prompt, and retrieve it also as the chat response inside this method. And if response is absent, then I go to the one more retry. If it's fine, then I return basically here. Then I do the following. I extract the risk level with a special method, which searches for the matching or for the appearance in the text, such words as high risk, reject, fraud, and set up statically the result as high, low, or if nothing was found there, so it is set to medium. Okay. So coming back to the implementation of the execute, so what I do, once again, I read the context, I request the OpenAI recommendation, passing the prompt to the OpenAI endpoint, then I calculate the risk level just by if logic. Then I set the variables as AI recommendation and AI risk level inside the process variables of the business process with which I work with. Okay, and then I just log that to store the data. So there was a lot of code, but it was fully generated by the open code in my case. And to implement OpenAI connection, I use the GPT-4 mini model. It's the cheapest one. And I also store the OpenAI API key inside the application properties. After this webinar, we will send you this project and you will be able to experiment with the same setup, passing your OpenAI key or another one OpenAI API compatible to work with. Okay, so here is what I've done. I've implemented a new service task, AI fraud check, which calls the OpenAI. Then I go to review application, and I want the user to play with this new field somehow with the user form. So how this can be done? Let's go to the user form. So I have here already preset rule decision, which is carried out by implementing the formal rule from BPMN. And now I will add few more fields behind that. So the first field will be named as AI recommendation. So the field label will be AI recommendation. And I need to input the key to this attribute to let the engine set up the process variable correctly. And this will be a read-only variable because, yeah, I suppose the end user or the inspector shouldn't work somehow with recommendations coming from the AI. Sorry, once again. Here I should put one more field. Its name will be AI risk level. Risk level, this one which I calculate inside the Java delegate. AI risk level for mapping, and this will be also read-only. So yeah, basically that's done. So we upgraded the process form. Yeah, we can check that it also was updated inside the JSON schema. So we can see the AI risk level, the AI recommendation, everything was done, and it will just relaunch the application and test how it basically works. While it is starting, let's just zoom out a bit and check that everything was connected as expected. Yeah, the business process became a bit more complex, but yeah, we could handle this because we used some graphical visual tools, yeah, for managing this stuff. So I see that the project is started, and most probably I can go inside the flow set and check whether the business process changed. Okay, no, I don't see that it's working right now. It's not connected. Not connected. No, the problem is that it still didn't start. Okay, now I will refresh. So it's green. So now it was connected. So let's go to the processes. This is the process repository. Open the business process and see if it changed. Yeah, I see that my changes, they were implemented. I see a new activity here. I fraud check. I cannot see what's going on inside the review application. So now I can start this business process and see what's going on. Let's go to the task list and launch the new process instance. Put in there another random person, Sophia, start, done. So most probably it is running. Let's check it through the process instances. Let's go here. Here are all active process instances. I can see them. It loads the data, retrieves the data from the business process engine. Yeah, I see that the first name Sophia is actual, and I also see that some recommendations were received from the OpenAI endpoint. Let's check how it looks like inside the task list. Here's the task, review application. I open it. Wow, I see those data. Those new data came here directly, but that's bad. So it looks bad. Yeah, so I see that those two UI components are squeezed, and I forgot I used the text field here instead of text area, and there was a lot of text. I just cannot handle that. Okay, so in any case, it says that based on the formal rules, it sets the risk as recommendations reject, and based on the AI recommendation, he says that AI risk level is high. I will reject in this case and make the changes to the process form to make it look more pretty, yeah, to make the end user able to work with it. How this can be done? We will go here. First of all, I see that basically they are squeezed right here. Okay, let's make the modification. First of all, I will delete the AI recommendation and replace it with another control. This will be the text area, and put the name once again. It's AI recommendation. That's it. Don't forget to put the key, because without it, the engine won't be able to map the process variable correctly. And here we can see that we can change the amount of columns covered by this UI component. And I will set up it as full width, okay? And I will do the same for the last component, setting up it also as a full width for 16 columns seen on the screen. So these are all the changes. I will restart the application right now and check whether it works. So you see that it's quite straightforward. I just drag and drop. I don't make any coding for that, and I see exactly how it looks like. And I do nothing with the front-end things. So they are generated automatically thanks to the JSON schema operations when the business process engine handles these process forms. And don't forget that you can access all the assets associated with your business process using the Flowset Project Explorer. Okay, so let's check what's going on here. So the application started, and let's try to launch the new business process using the task list. So I will click the start process and choose another person here. Let's take Olivia, another random person here. Start. Okay, it was started. Now let's go to the task panel and see what's here. Still, I see no task because I think that it's the token didn't pass this activity. So now it's standing on the user task. Let's go inside and check what's here. So I can see the random data, which was stored in my application. And here is the decision coming from the decision-making table saying approve. And here is the AI recommendation generated by the OpenAI LLM. Okay, so here you can see that has an excellent history and high income, but additional verification is needed due to a significant loan amount relative to her income. And so the recommendation of the AI risk level is medium. Yeah, so in this case, Olivia will be lucky and will approve her application, and I can check the history of this use case inside the Flowset control. I can access the completed business processes and check all the data that have been that basically happened. So this is the business process for random Olivia. Yeah, so it's here. Yeah, and you can see all the activities with all their names here stored to analyze this data manually or in some process mining application. Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, basically, we saw today that Flowset Studio can be quite helpful when you make modifications. You can see that everything's stored here in your project. You can version it using the Git branches, Git commit, yeah, and store it in a single repository. And what's more, I can say, we think that using this tool, even business analysts can manage the business processes together with the team. And all of them will use the same tool. Isn't it great? I think that is quite great. Let's continue and finalize our today's webinar. First of all, let's wrap up a bit. So what we actually performed today with the Flowset Studio. We added a new service task to the existing business process model and modified it using visual tools. And we also used this quick navigation between all the parts, between forms, decision-making tables, and they also allow us making modifications without approaching yet another tool. Okay, we added quickly a new Java delegate business logic, and we implemented calling the OpenAI REST API to gather recommendations about the applicant data. We modified the process form, and what do I love most is that we perform fine-tuning and test all the moving parts using a single integrated Flowset toolchain. This is what exactly the Flowset stands for: to make life easier when you make manipulations with your business process applications or build something from scratch. Hope this was useful for you today. I tried to demonstrate the main features of the Flowset and to explain what is the main value of this tool. So you can access the JetBrains marketplace, get this Flowset Studio as a plugin inside your IntelliJ IDEA and start using it. Even if you don't use other parts which I've demonstrated today, like task list or control, you're able to improve your productivity using this tool and connect it easily with coding agents you are using. Should it be open code or Codex or Claude Code? So it doesn't matter really. So this will help you to observe what's going on and make the changes in a more, let's say, quicker way. So in a quicker way. So this is what it stands for. After the webinar, we'll send you the link to the repository with the project I've demonstrated today to make you go through the details which were implemented and maybe organize the same setup with the Docker images and try running this in the same way I did today. Now I'm open for the questions. I will access the chat. I see some questions here and I see the answers. I see Mladen. Hello, Mladen. It's very cool to see you today. Yeah, well, okay. That's great. I see that my colleagues, thanks, Nikita, he answered most of the questions. That's great. By the way, in case you are interested in testing this tool, because I can say that it's 100% stable, please download it. I told you already today, and access our Slack channel. You can talk with the team about potential improvements of this tool because it is still in active development mode. And I suppose that by the end of the year, this will be a great thing. This will be a great thing that will help you in your daily operations with BPM automation. Thank you very much for coming. Don't forget to subscribe on our channel. There is a special bell below this video. Don't forget to push like, to click like if you liked it. Don't press dislike. Better press like, because I suppose there was nothing bad here demonstrated today. Yeah, and stay tuned. We will keep you posted with all the updates. This is a dynamically evolving tool, yeah, and I hope that will bring a lot of more capabilities that will simplify your day-to-day operations. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.